a certain amount of the press reviews, while commenting on the comedy of those scenes, have also commented on the violence of the first killing in particular, the overt violence, and suggested that perhaps you needn't have been quite as explicit as you were.
Why not? What is worth doing well.
There wasn't a feeling that you had to live up to Straw Dogs or to a new feeling of violence in the cinema?
I've never seen Straw Dogs, so I wouldn't know anything about that. I never copy other films ever, because I usually spend most of the time avoiding the cliche. For example, in North by Northwest, I had to put the hero, Cary Grant, on the spot. So the cliche would have been putting him under a lamp, wet roads, a pool of light, a black cat slithering along the wall, a face peering from a window, and a black limousine coming along. And I decided against all that as being the worst kind of cliche for this scene. So I decided to do it in the open, bright sunshine, without a tree or a house in sight. And then out of nowhere comes a crop duster and chases him around. Well, immediately that has now become a cliche, because the next time you saw it was in a Bond picture, when Bond was chased by a helicopter. Then you saw a French picture called That Man from Rio, where a man is chased by a motorboat. Then in a later film, you saw a man chased by a car. So what was once the avoidance of a cliche has become a cliche.
I don't think anyone would doubt the tremendous influence you've had on other films and other filmmakers, but this, in fact, is the first film that you've made in England for something like 20 years.
That's right.
What made you come back now?
The story lent itself to that occasion, no other reason.
But now you've cast this film with a great many distinguished character actors, but no stars.
It wasn't necessary. I thought that the story would benefit by being a little more realistic, especially in America, where they won't know the people at all.
Is there a feeling that the film will be your film and that you will be the star
Entirely,
of it?
yes, sure.
And that's the way you'd like it, really?
I think so, yes.
Looking back on the film now, are you completely happy with the way it's turned out?
Pretty well, yes. It was laid out very meticulously to start with. And it followed the desired pattern.
How much do you mind what critics do talk about in the context of your films?
Well, they tend to talk about content rather than the treatment. And they worry about the content. I don't, any more than if I were a painter painting, say, a plate of apples, worrying whether the apples are sweet or sour.
The reason I ask is that very often your films open to a rather mild reception, and then after about 5 years, they're suddenly rediscovered.
They're always. It takes a year for them to become a classic. Psycho is a typical example. When that film was reviewed, it was said of it that this film is a blot on an honorable career. And yet within a year, it's a classic.
And do you think the same thing will happen to Frenzy?
Not quite so much. I don't know. There have been rather responsible reviews on the picture. I don't know whether you've read them all.
Yes, I have. But where do you rate it in your own hierarchy of films?
I rate it alongside Rear Window and pictures like that.
But what got you into thrillers in the first place?
The same that got other littérateurs and other English creators into the field. After all, in England, the thriller or the suspense story, if you go to John Buchan or Conan Doyle, see, it's first-class literature, whereas in America it's not.
And yet, once you'd made your name in this country as a maker of thrillers, you did in fact go to America.
That's right.
Was that by choice or?
Oh, yes, because it was a challenge to go there. My problem getting to America is to make them recognize that the thriller was an important genre of film to make, and need not be a cheap thing.
When you're not making thrillers in California, what kind of life do you lead away from the studios?
I stay at home and go to bed at 9 and read.
But
Not
are you
thrillers?
Not thrillers.
No.
Alfred Hitchcock, thank you.
You're right.